So this is the Juggernaut, okay? There's been a lot of hype about this device. It's been kind of difficult to get for a little while. The second batch just came out recently. So before I had a chance to review it, it was announced that there was an upgrade kit coming out. So I was put in a similar position to what happened with the Silver Dog, which, if you guys remember, I did a review, but I waited to do the review until I got the upgrade kit. This is something that I feel strongly about. These modders that are making these devices are putting a lot of effort into this. Whether it's one that I like or I don't like, I have the utmost respect for what they do. And if an upgrade kit comes out, I'm not going to review the device until I get the upgrade kit. That's just, I think that it would be disrespectful to do that, to put an opinion out there, because I do give an honest opinion on my reviews, unlike some people that gush over everything that they open and don't actually have any opinions. And it wouldn't be fair to M1 to review this device knowing that there's an upgrade kit coming out and not review one with the upgrade kit installed. So I got the upgrade kit last week. Actually, I got it the week before, but it was after I had already set up my devices that I was going to use for the week and review last week. So yeah, so I'm using the Juggernaut now. And I get it. I get why there's a lot of hype. It's not just because the thing's rare. This is another one of those things that's kind of like the Hellfires. People say like, oh, it's all hype and this and blah blah blah. And the Hellfires are not going to be for everyone. They're not really designed necessarily for someone that's going to do like crazy low ohm vaping. But the flavor from a Hellfire Mini is like nothing I've ever experienced before. It's the bottom line. The reason I like the Hydra more than the Hellfire Mini is because it gets the flavor almost to the point where the Hellfire Mini is, with a much larger juice capacity. The Hellfire Mini, you can vape it and watch the juice go down. There's no way that I could take that out on the 10. So I think the Hellfire Mini is an amazing performing device, but it doesn't have the all-around. I don't love it all around as much as I love the Hydra V2. Anyway, stop talking about those. We're talking about the Juggernaut right now. So, the Juggernaut, the Juggernaut is a really unusual looking device. I think the face, it does kind of look like a face. I think that the top cap on this, I don't know why this is, but for some reason to me it looks like the face on a tarantula. With the two, I know that they have more eyes than that, and but with the two tank slots, it looks like fangs. I don't know. It looks like a tarantula to me. It's not a bad thing. I think it looks cool. So the Juggernaut sold at 310 Vapors in the US. If you want to go to M1's website, it does look a little like an adult toy, maybe. Rosen. I wasn't going to say that. You said it, not me. I think it looks cool, though. The design is definitely unique. It's got kind of a slight taper to it. The top cap integrated with the tank sleeve, when that came out, it was a brand new idea, or not something that I had seen before anyway. The bottom button on it I like a lot. It's actually got similarities to the bottom button on the Bear Brass mod, which I like a lot. It's the flush, and it doesn't require much. There's very little throw. Like, you see how much I have to push down on this to get it to fire? That's literally it. Nothing, and it does lock. It's got this little thing there, comes out, locks it. So, well, thank you, Shane. Take care. hold on. Yum. What's it made of? It's made of 316 surgical grade stainless steel. I know I mentioned earlier that I prefer a mod that's made out of 304 just because it typically will hit a little harder. However, with the upgrade kit installed in this, I haven't had any issues with how hard this thing hits. So just, you know, whatever. The wick holes are 2.5 millimeter. It's got a 3 milliliter borosilicate glass tank, so you can put whatever juice in there you want. You know, like I said, and like you can see, the top cap is integrated with the tank protector. It's not threaded. It's adjustable throat hit. You can turn the cap. You can see your juice level through the little through the little holes there. You can set it up with a single wick, dual wick, U-wick. It's got a 1 millimeter air hole, which is a little bit tighter draw than I prefer, but that's okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And it does come with its own little custom drip tip, which you may or may not be able to see here. So that's the little custom drip tip that comes with it, which is actually nice. You can set this up with 18650, or, and you can see the quality of the machining here, because you can barely tell there's a line right there, but you can actually see, now that I'm unscrewing that, you can actually take this bottom section off, attach that there, and it becomes an 18350 hybrid. Okay? Take another vapor. So that's cool. Let me see here. Hold on a sec. Scroll up and get my notes. So, what does it come with? It comes with this and the usual stuff, mesh, wire, that type of thing. I'm not even going to get into it. And you get the drip tip, and you get the 2 tubes, so you can set it up 18350 or 18650. It's pretty compact for a hybrid. It is much, much shorter than the iHybrid. It's heavy, though. It feels very heavy and sturdy and does not feel cheaply made at all. I like the way it looks. It's very unique. I like unique. Like I've told you before, that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited about the Genie Cube that I have on the way, because it's so unusual looking, and I think that this is a very unique, unusual looking device as well. So that's very cool. The firing button, like I said, feels good. It's very, it's nice and tactile, but it doesn't require you to press it in very far at all. So you can press it with a knuckle, like so, like I'm firing it right now. The top cap, which is integrated, is reduced, and it's pretty tight in there. So let's see if you can see inside here. Hold on, let me angle that so that you can see how it's reduced in the top there. And yeah, so so that sharpens the flavor a little bit. Not that you're going to have flavor issues, because it does have a 1 millimeter air hole. So what that's going to do is tighten the draw, reduce the vapor a little bit, and increase the flavor. So the flavor is really, really sharp from this device. It's really clean, really sharp. I like it. Internally, talk about under the hood real quick. Stainless steel screws, stainless steel deck. However, what you're threading that positive post into, or what you're threading that positive screw into, hold on, there we go, is actually a brass post. and it also has a brass contact on the inside of the tube, which, let me see if I can show this to you here. One sec. You may not be able to see this, it may be too dark inside, but I'm going to try anyway to see if you guys can see this in here. Actually, that's not too bad, you can see a little bit of light. So inside there, I don't know if you can tell, but there is a screw inside a screw. So that top larger brass screw is what tightens the positive post inside there, and then that smaller one telescopes out so that you can adjust based on the variance in the size of your battery, so that you don't have any battery rattle, which I love about this device. You don't have any battery rattle. As you guys know, I hate when the battery inside my device rattles around. It just pisses me off. So it actually drives me a little bit crazy, more so than I already am, and I'm already pretty insane. So yeah, you saw the holes in there: single wick, dual wick, U wick. I don't know that I would set this up with a dual wick. You know, typically, I mean, unless you went with like a high ohm dual wick, maybe like a 1.0 ohm, so like maybe dual 2 ohm wicks, coils rather, because it does just have the 1 millimeter air hole, so you're gonna get, I don't know that you're gonna get enough air circulation through there to really, cool the, I don't know, it would be a lot of throat hit, basically, is my point. And I think it might be a little too much. And also, because the wick holes are a little on the small side, I don't know that you would be able to keep up if you did a dual wick and went down below 1 ohm total. So so that's correct. The Addy is affixed to the mod. It is part of the mod. That is connected right there. That's all one part. So this is not one of those hybrids like the Megatron where you could take the Addy part off and put it on another mod, for example. This is not removable. So how does it vape? I like it. It's a little tight. The draw's a little bit tight for my taste. I do prefer. I used to say I prefer I prefer a 1.5, 1.4. I don't anymore. I've actually come down. You really do get much better flavor when you have a little bit tighter draw. Now I typically am in the 1.2 to 1.3 range. That's my sweet spot. Depending on the device, sometimes I like it a little bit airier, a little bit tighter, I mean, it really depends. Probably something with a really, really tiny top cap, like a Nahual or like a Hellfire Mini. I think I would probably prefer a 1.3 over a 1.2. Something that's got a little bit larger top cap, maybe a 1.2, just to give it a little bit sharper flavor. So this one is a 1.0. The vapor production is still good. I mean, it's not like you're not blowing clouds of vapor. It's not super crazy thick vapor like you saw from the Megatron that I reviewed last week, but I mean, that's just because it doesn't have 2 giant air holes, so whatever. But the flavor production that I'm getting from this is just as good as the flavor production from the Megatron, which I had set up with a dual coil and had the 2 air holes and was using much more battery life. So, you can get the same amount of flavor from a more compact setup like this. What else? Yeah, I mean, I've tried other drip tips on them. They all fit fine. You know, the machine quality on it's really good. I definitely recommend that. You know, recommend it for build quality. I will say I think that it is the... I'm going to try to say this without sounding like I'm stereotyping, but I have had some devices from the Philippines that were not very good build quality. I have had other devices that were good build quality, like the Enzonic is a well-made device. But this device is definitely the highest quality device that I've ever seen come from Philippine modder. It's, you know, the level of quality of the machining is on par with anything that I've ever used. So, you like when I make eye contact with you while I vape this, Ben? All right, here, I'll do a close-up for you. How was that? Did that do it for you? I hope so. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not really too much more to say about it. A lot of, obviously, you know, with like any Genesis device, there's going to be a huge variance in performance based on how you set it up. You know, if you don't set the coil up properly, obviously it's not going to work properly. If you don't set the coil up so that it wicks well, you might have some issues, you know, especially if you try to go low ohm, which I know a lot of you are low ohm vapors. So let's talk about kind of a summary of the pros and cons here. So pros I've already gone through. I mean, most of the stuff about this device I love. What don't I like about the device? There's a couple things I don't like. First of all, personal preference. Like I said, I would prefer the air hole just a tiny bit bigger. I would actually like to try setting this up with both air holes drilled out and set up with a dual wick, just to see how it performs like that. But I do like a dual wick where you have direct airflow over both coils. I don't love as much as I like the look of the top cap when it's on, I don't love, one thing about this is you take the top cap off, if you don't wipe it down on the inside and wipe down just around the O-ring, sometimes when you put the cap back on, it's going to push some juice down beyond that O-ring where it snaps in, and you get juice in between the tank protector and the tank. And then a little bit of it will seep out around here. So now, let me be clear, it's not leaking, okay? I haven't had any problems with this thing leaking. However, if you don't wipe the edge of the O-ring off before you put the top cap on, sometimes it'll push some of the juice down, and then you get the juice kind of dribbling down, and then you get a little bit of juice coming around the sides there. So it's not a huge deal, but it is an issue in my mind, while it's not a huge one. Good thing though is, you know, there's no connection point there. It's all one single piece of metal, so it's not like that juice is going to leak down onto your battery or anything like that. It's nothing that you have to worry about there. I wish that the wick holes were a little bit bigger. While I am not one of these like extreme low ohm vapors that's going for this like 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3 ohm like crazy high wattage, I do like to vape around like 1 ohm, sometimes 0.9, occasionally 0.8, but I usually stick to 0.9 to 1. And even with a U-wick, and you know, this U-wick is wicking well. I have noticed that I do need to tilt it to 3 o'clock to get it to keep up with the wicking. And this one is a 0.9 ohm coil. So, you know, maybe it's not really designed for like real low ohm vaping, and that's fine. But because it's got the, you know, the small air hole and the tight top chamber, you don't really need to go low ohm with this device to get the flavor out of it. You know, a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 ohm coil is going to give you plenty of flavor on this because of the way that it's designed. So, yeah, UWICs are, you know, UWICs take a little bit of time to get used to, but they're not too bad. The key with the UWIC is basically like use as little material as possible, as far as like the width of the wick. Like when I make a UWIC, you know, I mean, you got a long piece of mesh, cut it a diagonal, but it's only, you know, this much mesh, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. You should only be rolling it over itself just a couple times, so it'll be more flexible that way. So, oh wow, Ghost, I just noticed your comment. Well done, well done. Here, have some vapor, Fred. He doesn't even care. Anyway, so honestly, I think that's really it. Everything else about it I like. Love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I love the way the quality of the machining. The quality of the vape is really good. You know, I like to have a device that I can, if I'm feeling, you know, if I'm feeling a little frisky, I can push it down to 0.8 ohms if I want to without having, you know, wicking issues. So, I said cut it at a diagonal, Capone's Pops. You clearly weren't listening to me. But yeah, I think that's yeah, I think that about covers it. So the Juggy, definitely a thumbs up. It's a really good device. A couple little nitpicky things I don't love about it, but overall this thing's really badass. And it lives up to the hype, you know. Like I said, you know, part of the hype machine with this was the fact that it's difficult to get, but it's a really good device, and I think it will continue to be a popular device, and I'm excited to see what else M1 Vapors comes out with. So there you have it. That's the Juggernaut.